Cooking with Xahn, discovered that these videos are much easier to do than the other videos were, mainly because I can do it while I'm cooking dinner. So you can see we've got a variety of ingredients over here, and the first thing I need to do is, of course, put on my apron because, as you guys well know at this point, I am a messy cook. So, apron on. Now, you might be able to tell based off of the ingredients that I have up here thus far, but I am making stir fry. So, the first thing that we want to go ahead and do is start getting things chopped up. I'm going to go ahead and get my skillets, or skillet as the case may be, warmed up. I just got out of the shower, by the way, that's why my hair is a mess. I'm not particularly all that worried about it. Ugh, get out of my face. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and we've got two different size pans here because I am going to be cooking rice with my stir fry. I've got a small skillet. This is what I use to cook my rice in. I'll be doing that later. So I'm just going to set it off to the side. And then I have a large skillet. It's deep and over here. Big around. There we go. It's hard to get that right. And this is the one, the big one is the one I'm going to go ahead and get that rolling. A little bit of olive oil, just dashed in the bottom of the pan. You just kind of want it to coat the bottom of the pan. You don't want it too much because you don't want it to be too greasy. And you're also going to have some grease from the meat as it's cooking. So we're just going to put the oil in the bottom of the pan there and go ahead and turn your heat on medium on your stove. You just want that pan and oil to be preheating while we get the other stuff ready. We'll be using there we go, rice. Yes, I label my container rice. In a bit, so I'm just going to set it off to the side up here. Bell pepper. Onion. For some reason, my brother bought the already peeled kind. Don't do this. It's more expensive, and it takes you 5 seconds to peel the outer layer off. But that's a sweet onion. We've got sugar snap peas, also going off to the side. Running out of place to go off to the side too. There we go. Some minced garlic that we'll be using in there. Shredded carrots, because I'm too lazy to shred my own carrots. You can just buy the big ones and slice them rather thin. I'm lazy. Get over it. And we've got soy sauce. So the first thing that we're going to do here is go ahead and pull out our cutting board. And we need to slice our meat. You can see our meat, I got the pre-chunked kind. This is just beef. I'm going to go ahead and slice it up smaller because I like smaller chunks in my meat. I'll just put that over there. Grab the knife. And you can trim the fat off if you want. I like my chunks to be about like this. You want them to be, you don't want little bitty tiny cubes for this, but you want it to be small enough you can get it and some vegetables in one bite without really having to worry about it. So you could go a little bit thinner here. The thinner you go, the faster your meat cooks. But I like them to be about 1 centimeter by centimeter in width and about 1 inch long. You can do longer. You want the centimeter, but the centimeter is meat, and Mommy is cooking with that meat. So the fat, if you trim the fat off, it will lose some of its flavor, but I know some of you are on those lean diets. Feel free to do that. You can, if you're wanting to go vegetarian or vegan with this. Jaina, what? Anyway, what I was saying is if you wanted to make this vegetarian or vegan, that's a simple matter of leaving the meat out. So, yeah, really, really easy to go vegan with this recipe. And it still tastes great, even without the meat in it. Meat is expensive, so sometimes I don't have meat. You can also use, instead of fresh and... Yes, you may have the dinosaurs. Go ask Mama Magus to open it. Yes. You can use frozen vegetables instead of fresh vegetables. They are just as good, and they are generally cheaper. Okay, see like this chunk of fat right here, there's no meat attached to it. I'm just going to go ahead and trim that off and set it off to the side because it's just one big chunk of fat, and I don't like to eat big chunks of fat. Little chunks of fat aren't bad, but I don't like big chunks. So go through and just slice up all your meat. And you know, let's probably check. Ingredients: water, wheat, soybean, salt, sodium benzoate, less than 1% of sodium benzoate as a preservative. Soy sauce is vegan. Woo! I didn't know. I'd never looked. This is, for those of you who were curious, this is almost 2 pounds of stew meat is what I bought. You can use as much or as little meat as you want to, but I've found that if you're using a whole bell pepper and a whole onion, about 2 pounds of meat is how much you want to have in there to round it out and make sure you're getting a good ratio of meat to vegetable. You can also add zucchini and squash, squash of all different kinds. I found that yellow squash goes really well with this. Butternut, you have to roast it beforehand, but if you roast it part of the way, or roast it until you can, you know, knock the top off of it and then put it in, that tastes pretty good. So all kinds of squash. You can even add chickpeas to it, varying other things. That is also that's a bit of skin. We're just gonna knock that right off. There we go. Da-da-da-da. And I'm almost done here. Well, by almost I mean I'm halfway through. Woo! Make sure your meat is defrosted before you start this. Obviously, my defroster is not the best. My microwave is not the best at defrosting, so you can tell there are some chunks that are kind of cooked. Notice the difference in color between there and there. Yeah. You want to avoid that by all means possible. So if you can let it defrost by just sitting out in the air, that's the best route. I was running behind. I forgot to pull my meat out of the freezer this morning, so I used the microwave, which all the best chefs will tell you that you don't want to use the microwave to thaw something. And then all the mom chefs out there will tell you it's going to happen at some point. Your best bet is just to watch it, do it part of the way, and then let it thaw the rest of the way. I generally, if I'm running behind and have time, if I have a couple of hours, which is not enough time to thaw something from frozen directly, I generally will try to defrost it part of the way in the microwave and then put it in lukewarm or cool water to defrost the rest of the way. It's just generally my preference there. And we're almost done here. And once we get all of this sliced, we will go through and slice up the bell pepper and the onion. Because all of this is getting cooked together, I'm not going to bother cleaning off my cutting board first. Normally you would want to, but I only have one cutting board, so yeah. Now I really like my cutting board. My cutting board is wood. I vastly prefer wooden cutting boards to, say, bamboo cutting boards, to solid wood cutting boards to bamboo cutting boards, and vastly prefer to ceramic or plastic really, really don't like plastic cutting boards. They don't feel good in your hand. Like, they feel flimsy. I like something that's heavy that I can sit down and work with. You notice I've been cutting this with the grain, except for just there, in which case I messed up. The reason I'm doing that is because it's actually easier to get longer strips that way. Generally, I start, anytime I'm slicing meat, I start by cutting with the grain and then go to cutting, you know, if I'm cubing it, I cut it against the grain after I've cut it with the grain. But since this one is doing strips, it's easier to slice just along the grain. There we go. Alright, so we've got the meat done. I'm just going to kind of scrape this off here. I'm going to rinse my hand off because I don't like the feel of meat on my hand. And we're going to go ahead and, oh no, I like to do the meat and the onions together. So we're going to go ahead and slice up the onion. Peel that off. We're just going to chop the top of it off. Now this onion has been in the fridge for a little while, so the outside layer is kind of dried out, so I'm going to go ahead and peel it off, even though this one was pre-peeled. You don't normally have to do that. Just peel that off there. Slice the bottom of it off. Go. Who wants to see Xahn cry on video? Now I'm cutting these. I like big chunks of onion, so I'm not going to cut these any more than this. You just want to separate them. That's about an inch or a couple centimeters in width, and then just the full length of it there. And we're just going to kind of toss those over in there with the meat. My eyes are starting to sting. Worst part of this. Oh, absolutely worst part. Any tips and tricks that you guys have out there to keep this from happening? Feel free to comment them to me, because this is awful. Absolutely awful. Oh god. My eyes burn. Almost done. You can do your onions thinner or thicker depending on how you like them. Like I said, I like big chunks because I can't bite into the onion because it makes me, oh my god, my eyes. My eyes, my eyes, my eyes. Mommy. Jaina. Okay, so we're just going to put that in there. We're actually going to turn the heat down to medium-low and cover and let that simmer for a while. Slide this over in here. You saw me pulling some of the little onion bits out. When it starts to turn yellow like that in the middle, it's flouring, and I turned it out. Okay, I'm gonna wash my hands now to get the onion off of them so I stop crying. Okay, so the onion, the meat, and the carrot all go in there first because they take the longest to cook. Slower the heat down because you don't want it to you don't want it to scorch, and you want it to cook slowly so that the flavor cooks into it. You can use as much or as little carrot, onion, and other stuff as you want. I generally put a lot of carrot in it because carrot cooks down, especially the shredded variety. So we've got the onion in there, we've got that in there. I'm going to add a little bit of water in it. Just a smidge. That was about, it'll stop moving. That was about 50 milliliters of water that I just added in there. Or for those of you that are wondering, like a 1/16 of a cup. Very little cup. Well, I mean more than a 1/16, but yeah. Okay, so next we're going to get our bell pepper. I'm just going to pop the little green part out. Well, I would have just popped the little green part out, but it didn't work. Bell peppers have this little thing in the center here with all the seeds on it. We aren't really going to be eating that. So I just slice like this and then throw it away. Trim out the bits of the seed part that didn't come off when I pulled the center out. You playing train? What are you doing? Normally I actually do 2 bell peppers with this recipe, but my other bell pepper decided that it wasn't going to work. So 1 bell pepper it is. Slice it up. I like long, thin strips, but you can do yours in short, thick strips, or you can do it in short, thin strips, or you can dice it, or you can mince it. It's however you want to cook it. Like I said, I just happen to like mine long, thin strips for the same reason that I like onions like that. The texture bothers me. Da-da. There we go. And the sugar snap peas. Oh, you stupid container. Give me my snap peas. There we go. Ugh. You don't have to do this, but I generally do. Just take and chop off the tips. Like so. I do this because the tips don't really cook all that well. That one's just kind of weird. It wasn't snappy, it was soft. You can also throw like broccoli in here, and you can throw all sorts of stuff in here. This is literally, stir fry is literally, it's one of those things, it's like, you think it tastes good, you throw it in. See how it goes. If you don't like it, don't do it next time. You can also use, I use soy sauce with my stir fry when I'm cooking it. You can also use teriyaki or orange sauce or any variety of other sauces. And you just make it work. notice me throwing snap peas off to the side periodically, that's because they're having blemishes in them. Or they're squishy like that one. Where they weren't quite fully ripe when they were picked. You want to stir your stir fry periodically because, hey, guess what? It's called stir fry. I prefer mine as simmer fry, but... Hi, Jaina. Don't, that's not food. No.
I can make it smell.
Okay, so we put the meat on with the onions and the carrots over mid-low heat. By the time that you finish chopping up the stuff that you're adding in, oh, that's sad. That one's got blemish on it. By the time you get finished chopping up the rest of your stuff, that should be cooked down enough that it is okay to go ahead and add in the rest. So we're just going to go ahead and add it in. Just pour it over top. You don't want to wait too long before you add your the rest of your veggies, because you want the flavor from the onions and the bell peppers and stuff to all simmer up together. You want that to all cook in together and give everything a nice robust flavor. So at this point we're also going to add, actually I am going to do some teriyaki with this. So let me get my teriyaki because it's up there. So I'm going to go ahead and slide this out the way. So for those of you who don't know, being short is a pain in the butt. Teriyaki. And back down. Because when you have stuff on the top of the counter, you can't get to it. There we go. So, you still use soy sauce, but I'm going to use a little bit of soy sauce and a little bit of teriyaki sauce. I've got the Kroger brand here, because teriyaki vegan. It has soy sauce, water, wine, sugar, salt, vinegar, natural flavor, sodium benzoate, and xanthan gum. Contains wheat and soy. It is not gluten-free, but it is vegan. So, this is a new bottle, so it has a flavor seal on it. I'm going to go ahead and pull that off. Put our lid back on there. This is the last of my other soy sauce. I had gluten-free soy sauce with reduced sodium. Don't ask me why I had the reduced sodium, but we're just going to put that in here. Oh, I forgot to add the garlic. And you literally just add this to taste. Be careful how much you stick in at the beginning because you don't want it to get too bad. Garlic, I just add a dash or so. Here, we'll move it over here so you can kind of see. This is what it looks like so far. And I'm just going to kind of sprinkle the top of it here with garlic. Like so. And we just give it a good stir. Wish I could get my camera to go over top of that. So we've got all of our ingredients in here. You see your beef starting to cook up. And we just throw it back on. Replace the cover. I'm going to raise my heat a bit because I want it to start simmering. Now, for those of you who have never cooked rice before, I prefer to use a shallow pan with one of my large pot lids because it fits right on top of my small 8-inch skillet here. You need 1 part rice to 2 parts water. Doesn't matter how you measure it, if it's in grams, cups, or whatever. Okay, so to get back to where we were, we need 1 part rice to 2 parts water. So there's 1/4 of a cup, 1/2 a cup, 3/4 cup. I'm actually going to be doing a 1.5 cups here. So there we go. I think I've got enough for 2 cups, so we'll go ahead and do 2 cups. Oh, I did. I just barely had enough for 2 cups, so I need to put rice on the grocery list. I cook with rice a lot. Okay, so then we add the water. This is 2 cups, so I need to get, remember, it's 1 part rice, 2 parts water, so 2 cups rice, need 4 cups water. Ooh, and that's about all that can hold. That's why I don't normally cook 2 cups of rice in it. Okay. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Woo. That's way full. Woo. Okay. So, turn the rice on high. We want the rice to start coming to a boil, and then we will get it down to where it's, once it comes to a boil and the water's almost gone, we'll replace the lid on that and start moving. I'm going to pause the video here in just a second so that I can A, get my countertop cleaned up a bit, and B, do a time jump. While I am doing this, you want to stir your stir fry every 2 or 3 minutes and replace the cover every time. Leaving the cover on is going to get that steam to keep the flavor in there, which will end up with a few things that will end up with your meat being a lot more moist and everything being a lot more flavorful. So, pausing the video here, we'll be back in a bit. So our rice is boiling. I don't know how well you can see this, but it's kind of turned into a congealed mess. That's what we want. Put it back on. Once it starts doing that and the water starts bubbling up, go ahead and turn the heat down. Stir it up a bit. I really wish this vent cover wasn't, or this vent hood wasn't here so I could kind of show you what I'm doing here. But it is, so I don't really have much of a choice there. And we're going to take the lid and just put a cover on it so that it steams up. I had it on high till it got to that point. I've now turned it down to medium. And yeah. I'm actually going to add a little bit of water to it too because I overestimated the capacity of my skillet. And well, let's just put it this way. If I don't add water to it because the good portion of the water decided to boil off, my rice won't be soft. It will be crunchy. So I'm going to add another 1/2 cup or so. Our stir fry is cooking up quite nicely. Go ahead and show you what that looks like too. You can tell it's getting good and done here. A lot of our onions are, well, a lot of our onions are getting soft. You can tell that because they're super flexible. They're kind of see-through now, not the solid white that you're seeing over on the corner. Our bell peppers are going to kind of be doing the same thing. When they get cooked up, they're getting there, but not quite there yet. Most of our meat is cooked through, and we've got this good layer of juice that you can see right there just at the bottom. Carrots are cooked all the way through, which is good. And the snap peas are needing a little bit more. They're still pretty crunchy. So I'm just going to stir that up a bit. And back on the stove on low heat it goes with the cover. Remember, the cover's going to keep that steam in. It's going to keep your flavor in. So it's been, like I said, it's been about 5 minutes there. We're going to let that go for another 5 minutes or so, and we'll be back. Okay, we're back, guys. Wanted to show you this. My rice is turned nice and fluffy here. There's not hardly any water left in it. So what we're going to do, once you hit this point, you're going to take and put the lid on it, whoop, and throw a chunk of it out on accident. We'll just put that back on top there. And let it steam. So turn the heat off, leave it on the burner, but turn the heat off. And let it steam until your stir fry has finished up. And we'll just add it in there. We'll let the whole thing simmer and steam together for a couple minutes.
I'm peeing off the kitchen over, Mommy.
Actually, you know what, guys? This has reached a good point. I'm going to just go ahead and add my rice into it. Are you cleaning up the kitchen, Gina? So we're just going to take and scrape our rice off down into it. Looks like there's a couple of spots I didn't get that rice stirred very well. That's all right. It's not scorched. It's just a little bit dry in some spots. We'll do that. And we're just going to go ahead and stir this rice in. So, this makes a lot, as you can tell. For one person, you're going to end up with several days worth of leftovers. For our household, I generally end up having stir fry for dinner at work a day or two. It depends on if our Shangaya is super hungry the night I make it or not. So we do that. I'm going to add in a little bit more teriyaki, just a smidge. I've probably used, you guys can see that here, I've probably used about 1/4 of a cup, and I used about 1/8 of a cup of just straight soy sauce. Stir that in. And now we're going to put the cover back on it. Again, we got to keep all the flavor in. Going to put it back on the stove for another 4 or 5 minutes on low, mid-low heat to just kind of let that rice finish cooking, let the bell peppers and everything finish cooking, and then it will be ready to serve. You know, in a good cooking show, they'd be doing something else right now. In my cooking show, we're just doing this. Oh, you know what I didn't add? I didn't add any pepper. Oh well. I know I'm not a big pepper fan anyway, so we'll just leave it out. We'll be back. Alright, let's check on it, shall we? Looks like we still got some onion that's not cooked all the way through. Now that we've added the rice in, we really have to be diligent about making sure that we're stirring. Yeah, see this onion right here? See how white that onion still is? It is not cooked all the way through. And there's several that are like that. So it needs a little bit longer. I will be back once everything is done. guys, we're back. What we've got here is our final product. As you can see, the pepper or the onions have curled up nicely. They're all cooked really well through, as have the bell peppers. You can tell how well that's curling up there for me. Excuse me. I did go through and add some more teriyaki and some more soy sauce. You add the sauces to flavor it per taste. I like mine to be a little bit heavier in the flavoring of those. Some people prefer a little less, some people prefer a little more. It just depends on how you like it. But this is ultimately what you're going to look like. And so we're going to go ahead and dish some of this up because it is dinner time at the Xahn household. I hope you enjoyed making stir fry with me today, and we'll see you next time. Choo!